Introducing in the red corner, weighing approximately 220 pounds from the great state of North Carolina, the one, the only, Frizzy Frizz.
Can you dig it, sucker? And introducing, weighing in at 223 pounds, he is the 5-time WCW champion, Steven Trudeau.
Hey, real talk. This man is dressed like a professional wrestler, and he did not have any of that stuff on pre-show. He just snuck it in on me.
So I was trying to get like the costume change without you see. I kind of want to get rid of the scene real quick, just for those that are watching. Let me see if I can switch this up really quick, just so you can see the dedication with the sleeves. So like I was going in.
You look like one of the Hardy Boys right now.
You see, that was the plan. That was the plan. I still got a couple of other props for what we're gonna do for the rest of the day, but this was gonna be the first one.
I said, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I
Hell
like
yeah.
it, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
we're still
so-
gonna start off right though.
Hit him.
Happy fucking Monday.
Woo!
I like it.
You know what's funny is like we've been talking about doing a wrestling based podcast episode for almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, it's going to be a slow week right before the Super Bowl. And bro, the sports world was popping.
I'm saying, bro, with trades in the NBA, NFL firings, obviously the whole bunch of stuff going on, and with the big game, and then we're like, let's do some wrestling talk today.
Woo!
This is way more fun anyways.
Yeah, big
I'm
time.
digging it. Yeah, so we're going to do a lot of nostalgic, for us at least, WWF talk. We're thinking like probably early 2000s, late 90s sort
Late
of deal,
90s, yep.
right? Yeah, so like that's kind of when I jumped into pro wrestling, WWF, and really got into it. But I was curious, like for you, like what got you into all the wrestling stuff?
Oddly enough, I know they say, oh, the old school wrestling or the old school basketball ain't the same. My grandfather used to watch, rest his soul, used to watch Sunday nights. So Sunday Night Heat, back when that was like a big thing, and they actually had like main card names on Sundays. We'd always go to my grandparents, and like I think it was on at like 6 o'clock too. So like it was early afternoon / evening. And he used to watch it, and I just remember being like, "What the hell is this? I don't understand it." And then like after watching it for like a year or so, like they started releasing games that I could play back with like Super Nintendo. So like that was when I was like, "Oh, let me actually look into this." So like that's how I got into it. I was a big fan, obviously, all the way up until like that 05, 06 area. And then obviously other things changed when it came to like what I wanted to be, I guess, priority, because I'm not 6'9", 300 pounds like some of these guys.
Yeah, bro, I was looking at some of like these heavyweight guys from back in the day, absolute monsters. I think for me getting to wrestling, growing up in Florida in middle school, everyone just wanted to kind of scrap. Like that was kind of like no one, like Central Florida has nothing to do. It's like, hey, let's just beat the shit out of each other. So we would just go backyard wrestling, especially if someone had a trampoline, that's the ring. Let's go. So start fucking around with that, and then we started watching it, and boom, there it goes.
We didn't even have, if you think, I think about it now, like, because that same thing, like, I was in I was in Florida at the time, mid 90s, and in early 2000s, I was in Florida as well, West Coast though, Bradenton style, throw it up. And I'm pretty sure like me and my friend squad back then, we didn't have trampolines. We were broke, so like we couldn't afford that. So like we would just wrestle on like ground, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like if somebody had a fence, guess what? There's your turnbuckle, there's your ropes. If somebody had a ladder, oh, guess what? Somebody's jumping off a ladder. And then I used to live near a school in one of the complexes I lived in, and they used to throw cardboard boxes into recycling. Was always grabbing the science projects boards because they were perfectly shaped like a table, or just old school, cardboard boxes. And there's our TLC matches, bro. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you never lived as a kid if you didn't grab the cardboard boxes and like cut them into your own belts.
That too.
You're privileged if you have the actual. So if your parents go buy an actual belt, cardboard box, baby, cut it up, just spend that thing with your life.
Do kids even do that nowadays? I feel like just people not outside, but like I feel like I don't ever like drive around the playground and see like 10, 12-year-olds like beating shit out of each other. Because like people are like, oh, it's bullying. It's like, nah, man, it builds character. Like, man up.
I don't want to get too much in a tangent, but like I was just thinking about back in Florida, right? And you know how I actually learned how to play football? Not playing football. We played a game called Kill the Carrier. That was our shit back in the day. That'll teach you how to be a running back. You'll avoid tackles that way. I'll tell you that right now.
So I don't want to again continue the whole tangent thing, but you called it kill the carrier. We called it kill the man with the football. If there was ever a time to question, the chat as to like what they called, because it's the same thing. One person gets the ball, it's 1-50. Just try to fucking score. But like, there's so many different names that people called that. I'm anxious and curious to like know like what other like not everybody calls it 21. Some people call it New York, right? So like it's all depending on like where you live and what you call it.
So what, like, you're trying to think of like other examples?
Other ways to call it, yeah. Because like I'm like, what other ways do people call kill the man with the ball? Like you call it kill the carrier. I'm saying like there's got to be other ways.
There's a non-PC way that I remember it being called.
Well, let's not get flagged, so let's not go down that route. We already curse enough, and we're using some people's music.
Yeah, no, and we used to actually not even play the football. It was like we had like even like you just get a plastic bag. If you have the bag, you're getting fucked up. Like that was the deal. Random tangent. Anyways, we're talking NFL today. Good God, we're talking WWF today. We want to talk about kind of like our favorite wrestlers back in the day, maybe favorite moments, tag team stuff. We have a Frizz's 5 that is exclusively set to WWF, and I don't want to give too much away, but it'll get you moving. I'll just leave it at that, right?
Let's go.
So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun show. I'm glad you guys are all here today watching live. And remember, check out the podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Frizz the Grizz. So, D, where do you want to start us off today?
I know that you had said something off air when we were talking about tag teams. So I feel like tag teams might be a good one to at least start, just because it's like, at least from what I've seen, it's not so much the third tier championship anymore. It used to be, WWF Heavyweight Championship or WWE, whatever you want to call it. And then it was the Intercontinental. And then it was tag team and European hardcore. Like it'd go down that tier. I don't think like tag team championships are even like a thing now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like you go over like, or let me hear what you talk about for your best tag teams, or like I guess memorable tag teams.
So I was looking down the list of previous tag team champions, and it's weird because you describe tag team as kind of like a third tier belt. I was always a big fan. I know we don't want to talk too much about the belts, but I was always a big Intercontinental Championship guy, because like you got some of the less like not the top tier talent, but like pretty good wrestlers, and it meant something. European Championship, get the hell out of here. That's some trash shit. But I was specifically looking in like the early 2000s where we were big into wrestling. The three that stick out to me, right? The Hardy Boys, your guys. I was not Team Hardy Boys.
Really?
Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, they suck. Go to hell. Dudley Boys. I was a Dudley Boy fan.
ECW, nothing wrong with that.
With the tables, man. My boy Bubba Ray and Devon. The catchphrase. What's the kid? You remember the catchphrase?
Or Devon, get the tables.
That was my shit.
I think that's dope. Because like you can always tell like I mean you can't always, but you can majority of the time tell the type of person someone is based off of like what they like and whatnot. And like you were just talking about like kill the man with the football, right? And like the rough and tough style. Then you're talking about the Dudley Boys with the tables. And I'm talking about the Hardy Boys because, and the first thing I said was, if I got a ladder, I'm jumping off of it, right?
What was the hand symbol, by the way? Was it the shocker?
Yeah, it's this. Yeah, no, it was this one. I had to think about it. No, it's just the two fingers up.
Not the shocker. Okay.
No, not the shocker. But like that was me, right? When I was a kid, like I loved jumping off shit. And my daughter does that now. My youngest, like she just climbs and just jumps. And it's like, I loved that. So like no fear of heights. I can't get on a roller coaster now because I'm scared shitless. But like back then, you get me a 15-foot ladder, I'm jumping off that. And like I related more towards the Hardy Boys because of it.
I want to take that thought. I have a thought. I'm going to save it for later about kind of like how wrestling has changed over time. But yeah, back in the day, man, like the Hardy Boys were those dudes, the high flying acrobatic. So they were like the high flying acrobatics. The Dudley Boys are more of like a rough and rough guys, a little bit chubby, overweight. Then Edge and Christian were I think they were probably the best wrestlers of the group. They were like the most talented. I was just looking back at like the title reign from like 2000 onward, right? And it goes, ready for this one? It's crazy. It just goes back and forth between those guys. Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, Too Cool snuck in there, which was, you remember Scotty 2 Hotty?
That was annoying. Yeah, I didn't really care for Too Cool. Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Grandmaster Sexay.
Yes,
Yeah, I
Dan, you
don't.
nailed that. You
Yeah, but
nailed that.
I don't miss those guys. Well, one of them
Uh,
passed away, so like I didn't mean it like that, but like I don't
yeah.
miss watching them.
But so yeah, outside that, then it goes back to Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, random, The Rock and Undertaker.
Yep.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's unfair. Let's just say that. It's but like back here in this day of wrestling, like it was those three alternating titles, but you'd have like really good wrestlers mixing in that just steal the titles. Like another one, Kane and Undertaker stole the title. Like I feel like back
Brothers
in the
of
day, I
Destruction.
know we treated the tag team championship as kind of a second or third tier, but a lot of really good wrestlers competed in that, like the top level, and the guys who were tag team, like it meant something back in the day in that era, right? Like it was one of the premier titles.
So factions were huge back in the day, right? There was the corporation. Obviously, you got the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian,
Was
but
it Farouk and
before
Bradshaw?
Farouk, yeah, APA. Yep. Oh no, yeah, Farouk and Bradshaw were APA, the Acolytes Protection Agency, something like that.
Yes. Wow, your memory is solid
Dog,
on this.
well, it's only because like we're going through it, right? Like if we weren't in it, if you were like, "Yo, Darren, what was the APA?" I'd be like, I have no idea, but it's because I'm slowly tapping into that, so it's easier to remember. But like Edge and Christian were the Brood or something like that because it was Edge, Christian, and Gangrel.
Oh yes,
Yep, and they kind of pushed him out because Edge and Christian were a lot better, easier to promote instead of like the Fanged guy.
that's a
So
solid one.
yep,
Road
there's the
Dogg.
New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg and Jesse James. So like, and then there was those like one-offs, right? So like you said, Undertaker and The Rock, but like The Rock and Saw connection. Remember when The Rock
Yes,
and Mankind teamed up? That was
Yep.
absolutely amazing. I know that there were other teams too that were probably missing out on like old school, like I think it was like Test and Prince Albert. They had a team
Oh
for
my
a
god.
while.
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's dope. But like, so what they used to have is there was like a ranking system, which is why like I was saying like it's tiered. When you first got in, you were either lightweight or you're
Holy
going
shit.
towards like the European title, right?
How
And
about
then
this one?
oh, go ahead.
One we forgot as far as like a top tier tag team from
Yep.
that era. A little bit later, Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho. You didn't like them? They were good though. Those were
But
two really good wrestlers.
they were, but I don't know if they would be considered like a dope tag team because they were both one up. They were essentially what The Rock and Undertaker did. They had their own, right? They were both either going for the heavy, exactly, and they just put them together for one thing. But we didn't. We don't talk about CB. Yeah, we really don't because of what happened.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
yeah. That one's kind of mixed reviews on how you treat that
real
one.
quick on the Chris Benoit thing, right? Like I was looking into wrestlers today, and man, they low key have it just as bad as football players as far as CTE goes.
Worse.
So I know like the Chris Benoit thing, like it's tragic and like what he did was horrific, but man, that sport, like no joke, it's no joke to these people who compete in it. So like my respect to the athletes that do that for sure.
This is the same way that we talk about safety for like head trauma in the NFL. It's like double/triple because these dudes were doing road shows. So like they were on the road Monday night, then they were recording Tuesday for Thursday, and then they were wrestling like internationally on Wednesday, and then like they're at the Civic Center for Thursday, and then they're at the main place for the SmackDown event, and then Friday's like their off day. It was a lot, right? So and like these guys were every night wrestlers. They weren't just like how it is now where like a Brock Lesnar's part-time, like he more just shows up just to talk. He doesn't really wrestle. So like those dudes are putting their bodies through it. So it's tough to hear about, but like that whole Chris Benoit situation is definitely a tough one to talk about.
Back to the tag teams, like I'm looking at the list of champions now, and after 2002, it kind of like stops the run of from 2000 to 2002 was like the run of, like you said, not one-off tag teams, but just duos dominating for 2 years of being super entertaining between a couple different cast of characters. After that, it's like a bunch of one-off people that just, it just goes downhill. One other one that's just unfair, by the way, the unholy, I don't know, alliance, Undertaker and Kane. Just come on, that's
the Brothers of Destruction.
Was it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said the unholy alliance. Then you said alliance. I was like, you talking about Triple H? Yeah, they were called the Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah, that one's not fair. So Hardy Boys, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely my top team. If I was gonna say there was one that I would either relate towards or just loved watching, pure excitement wise, is definitely the Hardy Boys.
Do you consider DX a faction, like a tag team? They were a group. They weren't quite like a tag team duo, but they they were a squad that always fought together in tag team matches.
Outside of Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, no, they didn't really team up. X-Pac had his own thing with the European title, and then he teamed up with Kane to get tag team championships.
Yes,
But Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they were always part of like getting the WWF heavyweight, but never like tag teams. They probably won it once or twice, but like nothing crazy.
bro, low key, Kane has so many tag team championship titles, and it's just with random people. I was going down a list. Did you know we had a tag team alliance with? Do you remember this guy, the Hurricane?
Yeah, that's 6, I believe. WCW. He was Billy Kidman. And then he changed into 6 Kid. He came into the WWF, and then he went back to WCW, and then he came back as the Hurricane. Something Helms, I want to say is his name. But yeah, he was with them because stand back. There's a hurricane coming.
All the wrestlers, like he might be low key my least favorite because he was just so corny. His character was so corny, bro. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, but I thought it was hilarious. A lot of the stuff that he said was definitely hilarious. Hey, that's a big throwback. And see, so that's the tough part is when you go down the road with like a WWF, after McMahon bought WCW, they all became WWE/WWF wrestlers. So it's like not wrong with NWO, but like I wouldn't have even brought them up because like then you got, Booker T and his brother, something Harvey. Maybe it's Steve. No, it's not Steve
Harvey.
No, but like it's the Harlem Heat. I just can't remember his brother's name. So please help me out if you guys can. But like Booker T and his brother, like they were dope on at WCW. But I just didn't follow it because I was a big WWF guy.
Yeah. Now imagine me as a kid watching WWF, right? And I had no conception of WCW. Like I was a loyal to WWF. I didn't even know WCW existed. And that moment when I think it was Diamond Dallas Page was the first one to cross over and some SmackDown, he just like popped up and beat the shit out of I think like The Rock or something. I was like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? And he just like out of nowhere, he just gave the diamond cutter. I'm like, yo, what is going on? And the whole storyline of WCW versus WWF, that was pretty dope.
Well, when they did essentially the Stevie Ray, thank you. When they did the crossover of McMahon had bought from Eric Bischoff, the WCW, owner or commissioner, whatever you want to call it. Like they knew that DX was going to do the crossover, and like DX was fucking with everybody from WCW, which was absolutely hilarious. And then that whole thing with like ECW and WCW took out wrestlers from the WWF because like they combined. But that was when it was crazy. And I also remember it's weird because everybody always has these things like you remember when something happened, right? Like you remember where you were when 9/11 happened. Unfortunately, you remember where you were when like COVID happened, or like unfortunately for me, Kobe Bryant passed away. I will always remember where I was when Chris Jericho came to Raw because like it was huge. It was like the countdown to 2000. He had the Y2K countdown,
bro.
Yeah, and like that was his thing. And I was at my grandmother's house, and he came out on Raw, and he interrupted The Rock, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like that was huge because everybody thought that he was going to be something big, and he turned out to be. Thankfully,
was he?
Come on.
Yep.
You know I got you. Yeah. One. Break the wall. Break down the wall.
That one slaps. I'm not gonna lie. That one is kind of dope.
Yeah, I didn't put that on my outside looking in. That would have been bad omission. He was good.
Yeah.
He was WCW before WWF.
Yeah, he was. A lot of these guys were all ECW. Like Stone Cold was ECW, and then I think Stone Cold had a short stint in WCW, and then he went to WWF.
But you're saying he was WCW before that merger.
Yes.
And he crossed over afterwards.
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, he was a solid wrestler. His finisher, I always would do like his finisher in the playground, the Walls of Jericho. You remember that shit?
Yep. I
think legit, man. You just like
hurt somebody,
tuck them, and just sit down on them. That's
you put your knee in their back, like after you hook their legs, and like I always used to be like, no, let me get you the Walls of Jericho instead of the Boston Crab, because the Boston Crab you'd sit on the back. I know, I saw that. I wasn't gonna say it. No, I said you remember where you were. I wasn't comparing the two.
For like podcast audience, because there are people who just listen to this audio and don't watch it. And by the way, if you're listening to just the audio, definitely watch it live because this shit's hilarious. Absolutely. But someone in the chat just called Darian out for saying, "Did we just compare 9/11 to the Walls of Jericho?" And the answer is yes, we did.
Well, I'm not going to retract my statement. What I am going to say is the difference between the Boston Crab and the Walls of Jericho was just the knee. Because, bro, like, especially when, like, was it WWF WrestleMania 2000 on N64 came out? Like you would show it, and like you could hear it like hurting somebody's back. Like, it's like I used to make sure that I do that anytime someone would get it.
Speaking of like weak ass or like just finishing moves with submissions, a couple stick to mind, and the two I'm going to say are like kind of lame ass submission moves. The aforementioned Chris Benoit.
You don't like the crippler crossface?
If you did it in real life, is that really going to do anything?
It's fuck somebody up.
Face, like, come on.
I guess, yeah, maybe.
It was dope looking for TV though.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was more just the aesthetics behind it. Just it looked like it was hurting somebody.
Like your hands in someone's head. Like, what do
you would have your arm this way because you'd have your arm through his legs, and then he would pull your head. No, bro, that hurts. That shit hurts.
All right, that's a good one.
Thank you, Black Medic. If you're not gonna put that one on, I will. The ankle lock was the worst submission because like. I remember when like obviously you're a kid and like you see the ankle lock, you're like, oh my god, you can't get out of it. And then the first person reversed it. He just rolled over, and I was like, well, then why doesn't everybody do that? What the hell? So like once he did that and like somebody reversed, I was like, this submission sucks. What? How's anybody tapping out to that? And then you go down the road of knowing everything's scripted.
Wait, you do it with me. Ready? Darian, do it with me. Ready?
I got you.
You suck.
You suck. You suck.
Hey.
You suck. Yes, that was Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, though, honestly, like I hated him as a wrestler, but he was a fantastic heel. Like
perfect for the Attitude Era.
Yes, he wasn't a bad guy. He was just like up the owner's ass, like goody two shoe,
teacher's pet.
He was his character was perfect. I loved it.
They played it right, and then they crossed him over from heel to face perfect because it had just been everybody loved Stone Cold. Everybody loved him, even when they were trying to make it so that people would hate him. They fucking loved him, right? Like they loved the push of Stone Cold, and because people hated Angle. They made sure
go ahead
to push him correctly. Oh, that's good. Okay.
I was gonna get you that time.
No, you're good. What they did was like the whole crossover. Remember when Stone Cold had that beer truck and got the whole corporation? Well, they did that with Kurt Angle, and they had him with the milk truck. Milk. Yeah, bro, this shit was fucking lit. I love that. And I was just like, all right, I guess he's kind of all right. And the Angle Slam is a dope ass finisher. I'll give him that because he won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. So why not, give him kudos to having an actual and nobody does it. That's how it's a good finisher that nobody else does it. Like I loved, and we could go down that road another time, like later on the show. But like nobody else does the Angle Slam.
You don't want to know why? Because there's a better move than that. And I'm forgetting the name, the F5. The F5 is the
why are we talking? All right, we might as well talk about it now then.
No. We'll come back. Okay. We'll come back to finishers. The F5, man. Oh my God. All right. But where were we? Oh, one of my favorite Kurt Angle moments. I love the rivalry between Kurt Angle and Stone Cold because Stone Cold was just the perfect antagonist to him, pissing him off. Just do you remember the moment like they had this whole wrestling match about shaving of the head, and they shaved his head like live on TV?
Yes. Yep.
It was amazing.
Yep, I do remember that. The WWF used to get away with so much shit. You want to talk about crossing the line or like pushing boundaries? There's no way that they could air the stuff that they had for the Attitude Era now. Like there'd be so many people, like the FCC or whatever it is that gets you in trouble on air. Like they would literally get shut down. I loved it because I grew up in that shit. That molded me. But like, there's no way Trish Stratus or like what's her name, Sable came out with just handprints on her.
Who was your girl, man? Like when you were a teenage boy, who was your girl in wrestling growing up?
It's a toss up between it's a toss up between three, and then like I really don't know how to pick between the three. It was either Trish Stratus,
everyone's favorite.
Yeah, Lita, just because she's a badass, and then something about Stacy Keibler, bro. Like I just don't know. I couldn't choose between them. Obviously, like you're fucking 12 years old back then, but like those three were probably top three for me.
Great.
I don't know who to pick between them. Back then, but it was definitely those three.
Married George Clooney for a time. No
George
joke.
Clooney.
Stacy Keibler. I
Batman?
believe they had a relationship.
Batman? Old school
Batman.
Batman.
Batman. Yeah, that's how you know she was doing well because she could,
She couldn't
bag.
wrestle worth a damn, but I
Yeah.
mean, she was tall. We'll say that she was tall.
You know what it was, D? Now I remember what it was that got you. That entrance of the ring, how she entered the ring. Do you
That's
remember
probably yes. Yeah, she went off of the middle rope and then did the whole
that?
bend
Yes,
over.
all
We
the
all
way.
know. Yep, we all
Mhm.
know.
And her song was "She Got Legs."
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is King said that all the time. Look at those legs. So like, even if you didn't know what he was saying, it made you think about it, right? Like I'm 8 years old. Like, oh, what is that? So like, but yes, see, Medic knows. Medic knows. Like those three, it's weird. It's a hard choice, man. It's a hard choice.
I want to talk. I think this is a good way to segue and talk about like today wrestling versus, our era, because I think there's some serious differences. But before that, I need to crack a beer. So Stone Cold, get me going, buddy.
Do your
I
thing.
said, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah! All right, yeah. So like, just looking, I haven't watched wrestling as of lately. I actually picked up, I think 2K22 or 23. It was free on PlayStation Network, so I
Yep.
was playing some of the wrestling games, and it got me to like at least get familiar with some of the roster and see how the roster is constructed now. My biggest takeaway: lots of really like talented female wrestlers. Like back in the day, there were some talented ones. I mean, one that comes to mind is just jacked out of her mind, China.
Yep.
But like they were for the most part kind of there for the looks. The ladies now they're legit
Athletic.
athletes, and then in general, you talked about the Hardy Boys being kind of trendsetters as an athletic wrestler. I remember back in the day, all these dudes steroided out like crazy, just huge, big, giant men. More athletes today, like it's very athletic wrestling nowadays.
So you were going the route. It sucks that you kind of stole my thunder because I thought you were going to stick with just a female, but no, it's fine. That was going to be my biggest takeaway from the limited that I have watched. You still have your Roman Reigns, your Samoan big body, tribal chief type thing. Like you still have that in wrestling, but then you also have the smaller guys like your Daniel Bryans, right? Who's like my size, and they're winning the heavyweight championship because there's not a lot of bigger brute guys. It is the more athletic, what's his name? Something P or Styles, AJ Styles. Like there's a lot of people that are flying off the top rope or like they're actually wrestling as opposed to like just pure strength, right? The choke slam, you got Brock Lesnar still, but like he's not an every nighter, right? So like they got a whole bunch of guys that are, like you said, much more athletic instead of brute strength.
I will say though, like still to this day, I don't like. I'm sure there are wrestlers that do some crazy shit nowadays athletically. I don't think I've ever seen a more dangerous, crazy wrestling finisher like the Swanton Bomb.
Really?
Was it like a reverse backflip to land on somebody?
No, there was somebody that did that, but the Swanton Bomb was just like a front flip.
The
Just a
pump.
front flip. No, it was front flip. You would
Okay,
flip, but like you would hit his chest.
Okay,
With
I'm
the
thinking
back
also
of your head.
frog splash.
No, there were people that did that. There's a guy that did one of those like I can't remember his name, but he did like the front flip frog splash, and he did it to Randy Orton, and Randy Orton caught him with the out of nowhere. It was dope. If you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it.
I'm just thinking like, so my wrestling watching days, and I'm not an avid wrestler watcher anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The most athletic wrestler I can remember, and might have been the starting of like the turning point. I forget his name. Who was the guy with the mask that blew
Rey Mysterio Jr.
Rey Mysterio with the mist.
Yeah. So Evan Bourne, I know. Thank you, Hip Hop. I appreciate you. Evan Bourne was the guy that he did like a front flip off the top rope, and like Randy Orton was laying down, and as soon as he started to jump, Randy Orton got up and hit him with the RKO. It was fucking fresh, man. I was like, that takes some timing right there because you messed that one up. It looks very bad. But yeah, go ahead.
I was say, how was the mist even legal? You just blew shit.
Well, I don't think he did that anymore. Once he got to the WWE, he didn't do, or WWF, he didn't do it. He did it in WCW, but I don't remember him doing it. And really, he still did that? Because like that's how he would set up the 619, and then he stopped. He also unfortunately killed somebody doing the 619, and like he like hit them with the drop kick till they're going on the rope, and then he swung around and like that little kick that he does to the face, he like broke somebody's neck doing that.
Bro,
Very unfortunate.
badass from a Benoit killing people with the
Yeah.
619. This is not
It's terrible.
not
Terrible.
the
Wrestling,
direction I
wrestling
thought
is dangerous. And like I'll always be a part of that. Like, it's not fake, but it's scripted. You can't tell me jumping off or falling off a 20-foot ladder and softly landing is fake. Not a chance. Shane McMahon is jumping off of the Titantron, or Mankind is getting choke slammed off of a Hell in a Cell. It is fake. It ain't fake. It's just scripted, right? And there's a lot of shit that can go wrong in wrestling.
No, it's definitely a dangerous sport. It probably hurts a hell of a lot to do that. And that's, we were talking earlier about how back when we were growing up, and I don't know if we said this on the record or we are talking before the show, how we used to have the same roster on Mondays, Thursdays, and then sometimes Sunday when it was the pay-per-view time a month, right?
Yep.
And nowadays you have a split roster. I don't know when that started, like 2006, 7, you want to say?
Yes, mid-2000s, because it's right around the time that I stopped watching.
Yes, like you have guys only wrestle on Monday, and now they have split titles. I mean, I didn't realize that they have a tag team for Raw, a tag team for SmackDown, but like it makes sense. As fans of sports, we're starting to realize that there are people behind the athletes, and they have a future. So like football, like we try to put safety precautions to protect them after football. We're talking about how dangerous wrestling is, man. I can't imagine the people's bodies like back in the day, like a Stone Cold, how they feel today.
Shit. Yeah, like that's the tough part. And like again, when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, I want to watch them Monday through Friday. I want to watch them on Sunday. And then like the older you get, you're like, damn, like you just said, like those boys put themselves through hell. Like, and not only that, like they come back to work the next day, like, and just have like tape on their forehead because they, were busted open. But like these motherfuckers, like if you think back to the WrestleMania match between Edge Christian, probably one of my favorite matches of all time, Edge Christian, the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys. It was a ladder match. No, it was a ladder match that turned into a TLC match, and then that's when it got labeled that, because they were like, what the fuck? Like these guys like tables, these guys like ladders, these guys like chairs. Let's make a match out of it. But the original match was just a ladder match, and then it turned into that. And like those, like Edge speared Jeff Hardy off of holding on to the belts. And then he just got up like 5 minutes later and they just kept wrestling. It's like I'm down for the fucking count. And like I've watched so many of those like Facebook like wormholes. Like you watch one video and then you just keep scrolling up and then it just keeps showing more and more videos of like so much stuff that like happens during a match to check on people, to be like, yo, you good? You're not good? All right, cool. Like somebody get some help over here. But like the camera never shows it. So like you don't know that, obviously. But like those dudes used to go through hell. And then they just get back up the next day and be like, all right, we got a match tomorrow night. Across the country. I know WrestleMania was in Anaheim, but Raw's in Boston. So we got to fly out tonight and go do our thing.
That first matchup between those three factions, like imagine how dope it must have been backstage after the match. Like they're just like, we put on a hell of a show tonight, boys. Like let's party, like have a beer, boom, like great job.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to add to that? Sorry.
No, that was it. No, you're good.
So we were talking about how like wrestlers now, like they kind of slimmed them down, and you have like a lot more smaller, athletic wrestlers. I got down a rabbit hole. We talk about rabbit holes, and I was looking through like every retired WWF wrestler because I was curious, like other guys I missed, and I ended up by just trying to find the biggest wrestlers of all time. I want to give you my list and just like their size, because as a kid, when you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, like they all look big, right? The small guy on the mat's like 5'4". It's almost
Mysterio.
Yeah, it's almost when you're watching like NBA, everyone looks normal size and they're actually giants.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kane. Do you know how tall Kane is?
6'9".
He's 7 feet tall, 325 pounds.
Sometimes those might. I mean, I'm with you. He probably is 7 feet tall. Yeah, like I know that they do that for football. They do that for. I mean, we did it. I was 5'10", 200 pounds at Dartmouth. Like, and that's like listed. So like, was I really? No. So is he probably close to 7 feet? Yeah. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Same thing with Big Show and Undertaker.
Well, I got them on the list as well. Actually, yeah, those are my next two. Undertaker is listed at 6'10", 309.
Jesus Christ.
Big Show was listed as 7 feet, 383 pounds.
And he's still wrestling.
Yeah. Kevin Nash, 6'10", 328 pounds. That's not even a good wrestler. I mean, he was solid. He wasn't
He's
like
decent in WCW. He wasn't really a good one, and he was Diesel in WWF, and then he went to WCW.
I just wanted to take a little segue into Mark Henry because I got down on Mark Henry.
Sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate. By the way, great nickname. What's better? I'm going to put that as a poll question after the show. And if you're watching, check us out on Twitter and vote on the poll question. It's at Frizz and Grizz. Better nickname, Sexual Chocolate or World's Strongest Man?
I'm going with Sexual Chocolate just because the innuendo behind it. But like being considered the world's strongest man is absolutely ridiculous.
Yo, and so this is what I got down the rabbit hole of how strong this man actually is. All right, first couple like different levels of his life. In 4th grade, right? So how old's a 4th grader? Like 11?
Yeah.
12? He was 5'5", 225 pounds.
Jesus, how is that even possible? That's neglect. Like that's not even a real thing. You can't be that big as a
strong.
I guess, but you shouldn't be that big in 4th grade.
All right. And now you are someone who lifted, I would say, semi-competitively for football. You had to get your strength up. As a Texas high schooler, right? His senior year, he set a bunch of records for the state. He squatted 832 pounds as a senior in high school, benched 525 pounds, and deadlifted 815 pounds.
He's almost in the 1,000-pound club for one lift.
Oh, like it gets better. His PR all time, his highest squat is 960 pounds.
That is insane. That's a fucking car. That's a Toyota Prius that he just picked up like it was absolutely nothing and just moved it. Oh, you're in my parking spot. I move this out of the way.
It's just a shame he wasn't more charismatic or athletic to become like a top tier wrestler because that dude's a legit athlete. Legit. Mark Henry.
They pushed it. Yeah, he's an athlete, but he wasn't athletic in the ring because like you got to do a lot of movement for that. And they pushed him a little to try to be a heavyweight champion. I don't believe he ever got to it, but they did try to push. And it was just, again, you couldn't put, it was this charismatic thing. And then they went the whole like Moolah thing. Do you remember that? The Fabulous Moolah?
No.
Yeah, like where he had a baby with like a 90-year-old. It was it was disgusting. Yeah, and she gave birth to a hand on live television. It was fucking nasty, bro. I'll never forget that shit. It was absolutely disgusting. Like they showed it on TV, her at the hospital delivering, like having like a birth, and then like when it came out, it was just like a nasty, all moist and gluey hand, and it was just disgusting. I'd probably throw up right now if I watched it. Like I'm not even going to YouTube. I was
in the writer room for that.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I wish I was in the writer's room for that conversation. All right, so he's going to impregnate this 9-year-old woman. You mean the world's strongest man? No. Okay, that's weird, but okay, then what? Where are we going with this? Okay, hear me out. Just hear me out on this one. Hand. What do you mean hand? She's going to give birth to a hand. Attached to a baby? No,
just the hand.
Just the hand.
That's hilarious,
bruh. So yeah, Mark Henry. Last two on the list. The biggest guys I could find is the Great Khali. That was before my day. 7'1", 347 pounds, and then obviously
it was after your day. The Great Khali wrestled late 2000s. He was in The Longest Yard.
Did they revive him? Because the picture I saw of him was older.
Maybe. I remember his stint like late 2000s, early 2010s area, and then he was in the movie The Longest Yard because of it.
I'll look that up and double check. And then finally the GOAT of size, obviously Andre the Giant, 7'4", 500 pounds.
There's a weird drinking stat that came out. You know what I'm talking about? I don't remember what it was, but like he could down like 100 beers in one sitting, like it was nothing. Are you looking it up?
I'm looking it up. I think it's something about drinking on the plane. All right, here it is. Here's the
went to Tokyo, I believe.
Googled Andre the Giant drinking. It says Andre once consumed 119 12-ounce beers in 6 hours.
It's a lot.
119. That's
a lot of beers.
3.5 30 racks in 6 hours.
It's a lot of beer. That's a big man though, so like you can't even be like, like can he do it? It's like he's 7'4", 300 something pounds. Yes.
I got a funny story I heard about Andre the Giant once. So like he was notorious for drinking. Like he just loved to drink, and obviously it took a lot to get him drunk. But there was one night they were on the road. He's at a hotel drinking in the lobby, absolutely shit faced. He must have been just drinking, handles of hard liquor. And he's trying to get back to his hotel room. He sits down on the couch, passes out drunk, right? And they're like, all right, well, we got to move him. Let's get back to his room. Bro, they had the whole hotel staff trying to move this man. They couldn't get it to budge. They just left him in the middle of the lobby all night, just threw a blanket on him, let him be.
Like, imagine getting that call from like your manager. Hey, Darian, I'm gonna need your help real quick. Yeah, what's going on, sir? We got Andre the Giant. He just needs help to his room. Oh, okay, yeah. What is he downstairs? Yeah, but we got to pick him up. I'd be like, who? I'd be like, who got to pick him up? Me? Like, fuck that.
Nah, I guess you're right. I don't know why the picture of the Great Khali looked so old, but yeah, he came in 2007, so you're correct. Good shout. And someone, I think it was hip hop in the chat, double down out the longest yard.
That was definitely a good line. He had some good one-liners in that movie.
Before we get into some other stuff, we want to talk finishers. We want to get your Frizz 5.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to, because we're going off just random athletes, I wanted to throw out some random wrestlers I found during my searches through the interwebs, and tell me if they ring a bell. And these just put smiles on my face. One of them we already mentioned earlier, Sky Tuhati, with the worm.
Yep, I remember that.
Did he have frosted tips and a hat with his hair coming out?
Yeah, it was a not just a hat. Oh yeah, that's what it was. A visor. Yeah, it was a visor.
Rhino.
Yep. Gore. That was his finisher.
That was a pretty solid.
It was
move.
Essentially the spear, but like he just ran full speed, and usually spears, like when they impact, they stop and slam. He just ran through you. It was like an actual tackle. So like that.
Fun thing is the Rhino actually is the one that got me down the rabbit hole of the biggest wrestlers, because I looked at a picture of him, I'm like, that guy is massive, and I'm like, how big is he? He was 5'10", 295 pounds.
He's a bowling ball. Yeah.
Good God. The Guerrero brothers. I thought those guys gave me a smile.
Eddie and Chavo. R.I.P. Eddie, man. That one was tough. That one was a tough go. Because Eddie Guerrero was funny. He had some incredible matches. When he won the WWF Heavyweight Championship, I think against JBL, I loved that one.
Out of respect, can I give him the?
Yeah, do your thing.
Viva la
Oh, that's not it.
Yes, that's no. We lie with you, Steve.
Viva la raza. I lie, I cheat, I steal. I lie, I cheat, I steal. Yo,
oh yeah.
Got that passion effect long.
I was thinking of Latino Heat. Do you remember that one?
That was him. But no, he played that at first, and then he switched to that, and that's when he became like the face heel. He was supposed to be the bad guy, but like he couldn't hate Eddie Guerrero, so then he won the title off of it.
Okay. I feel like, is it kind of messed up to have the one Hispanic wrestler, the one that lies and cheats and steals?
Stop cutting it out, bro. He made his own personality like that.
Okay, I'm just saying. Like,
it wasn't like they're like, yo, let you come wrestle and we're gonna make you this. Like he played that character his entire, like he cheated, and like he would be the guy that would like hit you with the belt while the ref wasn't looking, and then he'd fall over. Oh, and like he'd be like, "Yo, he hit me!" and just get the referee.
Move is like when you have the guy distracting the referee, and someone just got the chair, and you're just like, "Oh, I got him, got him."
Yeah, Eddie was that guy.
Yeah, R.I.P. Eddie Guerrero. That was a good tag team duo. The Guerrero brothers gave a shot to them. Another random one, Gold Dust. That was weird, man.
Gold Dust was very strange, and him and Booker T had a tag team for a little bit. I'm pretty sure too.
They did. They won a title.
Yep. So weird tag teams. There's another one. His son is actually the push right now for WWF. Dusty Rhodes Jr.
Rhodes, yeah.
Oh, Cody Rhodes. Sorry, Dusty Jones is Gold Dust. Cody Jones is his son. Rhodes, not Jones. Rhodes. Wow.
Gold Dust always, I don't know. I was always weirded out by the face paint and the gold.
Very strange, yeah.
This one just was like, I remember you, but you were just kind of like an annoyance, Taz.
Well, he got hurt too. His finisher was fucked up. That little sleep at the Taz mission, but like it was like a hook under your neck and then bring your arm up like a sleeper hold.
That's like
Bro,
legit, like UFC.
oh yeah, that is, you get fucked up with that one. But that was his thing, was that he was like the UFC wrestler, so like that was his submission for it. But then he got hurt, and then they had to put him in the booth because of it, because he was a good mid card intercontinental hardcore title guy.
Didn't I remember this now? They had him in the booth, but they had him in. Didn't WWF have like a Wednesday show, like Wednesday Night Heat? Was it called?
No.
I swear, if someone in the chat, if I'm misremembering, they had like a developmental league. I feel like they had like a developmental.
Oh, they did have that. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but that
like
they
was
did.
Heat.
No, Heat was Sunday Night Heat.
I'm thinking of something. They had some sort of secondary show, but he was the commentator on that
NXT?
one.
Because that's the development league that they have now, but I can't remember what it was called back then.
It was a show. It was like
Tough Enough.
I don't know. Well,
yeah, it was Tough Enough on MTV.
It wasn't to find wrestlers. It was like they had the shitty wrestlers on an off day wrestle under the WWF umbrella.
Gotcha.
Kind of give them some love and shine. I don't know. Hopefully I can get the answer on that. Last two, Big Boss Man.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, he was a correction officer before a wrestler.
And he stuck with that.
That stick. Oh, is he? He actually died.
Yeah, one of his matches he got hung. That was weird. Yeah, it was in a Hell in a Cell, and they literally put like a rope around his neck, and they lifted the cell.
What?
Yeah, man, that was weird. So it's strange that he passed away, unfortunately. Hopefully he didn't hang himself.
Rikishi.
Yep, another strange one. Part of the Samoan family, though. The stinky face was fucked up.
Just his ass in your face. All right, let's get into fun. I'm bummed. A couple people left, but we still have some people in the chat. You want to get to the Frizz's 5?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think this might be our best Frizz's 5 of all time.
It's definitely a good category.
Prepare yourselves for the greatest and most unique segment in podcast history. Let's rank some stuff with D. It's time for Frizz's 5.
Whew. You want to let him know? You want me to let him know?
I'll let him know. Listen, we've had fun with old school WWF today so far. We want to keep the fun going. Obviously, throughout the show, we talked about certain wrestlers. I think we talked about Kurt Angle, the Guerreros, and we played a little music. Jericho. Like, we play a little music, and it brings back some memories. It's fun. This is D Frizz. Now, I'm unsure. Is it your top 5 entrance musics, or just like overall the entrance as a totality?
It's a combination of both. That's what went into I guess the factor for like what I would put for this 5.
Okay. So instead of you naming them off, we'll just call the number. I'll play the music and we'll talk about it. So number 5. You're not. This is now not my number. This is not my 5. This is your 5.
This is my number 5.
If you got a problem, deal with it.
It's not your top 5. It's my top 5.
As an aside, I actually think this is a really, really good 5 list. You did a great job.
Appreciate you.
Dead man walking.
Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, 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 rolling.
Yeah, man. The Undertaker, the rolling theme
was fucking dope. The whole American Badass push that he had, because like the Dead Man was cool, but like his push with the American Badass of like coming out to Limp Bizkit, the whole motorcycle thing, the arm up salute, like that whole shit. And then he changed his finisher from the Tombstone to the Last Ride was fucking dope. That powerbomb was serious back then.
Talk about like a move that can actually hurt someone. We just talked. He's what? Undertaker, 6'10", and he's literally lifting you up by your pants a good foot and a half, 2 feet up in the air, and dropping your ass right in your back.
Yeah. Good though. Good wrestler though, because he always did it in the center of the ring. He always made sure to get you with the most support, because that's where the what's it called? The ring would buckle.
Was it Stone Cold he hurt with the Tombstone? Like someone actually got hurt by the Tombstone pile driver and fucked up their neck.
Stone Cold got hurt by the Tombstone and the pile driver, which they stopped doing. Owen Hart pile drove. That's the one where like they flip you over like it's a tombstone, and instead of dropping to your knees, you drop on your butt. So the regular pile driver, Owen Hart did that, and he fucking broke his neck. It's like, oh damn, he almost got rid of the best wrestler of all time with that move.
Yeah, so a good move to get rid of that and move to this last ride. Still a dope ass move, and the Undertaker's turn to the motorcycle ride and badass. I dig it. All right,
loved it.
Number 4, another good. This is a classic one. Everyone likes this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
The funny thing about your number 4, which is the Triple H, I totally forgot about the water spitting thing you used to do. And so when I heard the song play and I was recording the song for the podcast, I'm like, oh man, I remember as a kid just like
it's too long in this, but like he'd always stare at the crowd, drink the water, and lean back on the belt on the ropes. Fucking dope. Great entrance. Especially because the lights were flashing a certain way too. It was really dope.
Triple H all time, is he top 5?
Yes,
top 5.
Yeah.
Do you know he does creative for he has creative control for WWF right now?
Yeah, he took it from Vince because Vince got slapped with that domestic abuse thing. Not domestic, like sexual assault thing.
Yeah. But good for Triple H, man. Like he's been part of wrestling for upwards of 30 some odd years now.
Married the wife, the boss's daughter, and reap the benefits from it.
That's me. Cutie. All right. I think your number 3 might be the best song on its like standalone song. Although to be fair, Undertaker theme, legit. When I do Late Day at the Gym, that Rollin' song. Oh, give me that on a good squat day, man. All right. Yeah, Triple H, good dude. Love Triple H.
Big fan.
Talk about some charity work. This might be the greatest wrestler of all time. As far as doing good for the community. Your number 3 music entrance in totality.
Dog, when those horns go off, I still get goosebumps with that. Like right now, my arms have goosebumps. Just like I know that he was the PG guy that like us older folk like didn't want, but like what he did for wrestling was hold it the fuck down when people were transitioning from the rated R attitude era to the more family oriented. He did any and everything that he could. He switched up his whole personality. Like when he came in, he was all about thug life. Like he was the rap guy. And then they were like, yo, we need somebody to carry the torch because we are going to fail miserably. And he was like, I'll do it. And he did, awesome. Product of Springfield College. His shit was all up there when I went there for that semester. His stuff was all over the place because he was that guy. Like you said, for donating or charity, he always gave back to that college. He always reps West Newbury, Massachusetts. Like, he's dope, man. Like, good for him for doing what he did to be one of, if not the best wrestler of all time.
There's an older gentleman that I talked to in the gym and work out with him. And he used to be a professional bodybuilder, and he used to work out at a gym called Hard Knocks in Amesbury, where John Cena used to work out. But when he was leading up to his wrestling days, and he said that was the strongest MFer he's ever seen in his life. Yeah. Hardest working MFer too. Like
he deserves everything that he gets from the WWE/WWF. He deserves it, man. He did a really good job with it.
Yeah, and I think he's done something like 100 plus Make-A-Wish at this point, probably in the 200s. So just a genuinely good dude. And I think this is a good second to just segue really quick. We were talking before the show, best wrestler turned actor. You said, I know it's so John Cena comes to mind.
Very biased with this one though.
The Rock, I think The Rock has the most prestigious career, but Dave Bautista, low-key great actor.
Batista was pretty decent, and there was someone else that I remember that put out a movie, and I was like, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Yeah, Dr. Thugonomics. I'd have to research it, but there was another person that I had to mind. I can't remember who it was though.
Well, Batista's young, so I'm just saying, like, give him some time. He might overtake The Rock because The Rock's kind of like low key fizzled out. You know where? You know what I think his turning point was? Do you remember? Was it the Super Bowl last year had that corny thing that The Rock did before the game, the little speech?
Yeah.
I think he lost me there.
Well, he did it a couple of years ago with the 49ers and Chiefs Super Bowl. That one was dope. That one was a really good entrance. And then they played it twice, and that's when it doesn't have as much flair, obviously.
All right. All right. Last two on your list. This is my number one. I'm kind of pissed it's not your number one, but whatever.
Oh, hell yeah!
What?
Something about that glass break, man. It's not even just the glass break. Oh, my bad. I'm going to cut you off.
No, I'm with you. The glass. There are certain themes. There are certain wrestlers that will break into a match, like as it's going on. And when you just hear, there's a wrestling match going on, and all of a sudden you just hear,
I said, give me a hell yeah.
I had the wrong one. When you hear this, like, oh shit,
it's about to get serious.
Down. Yeah. It's about to go down.
And that was the part too, it's not even just the music itself, it's the pop that came with it. The crowd would always go fucking nuts. And then I don't want to give up, obviously. I mean, you could probably tell who number one is if he's number two, but like him and the next guy, the shit talking down the ramp is what made it. Because it was like he's literally whoever was in the ring, or even if there's nobody in the ring, he's just shit talking on his way down there, like yelling at something, yelling at someone. So it was a great entrance / music for him.
He did like a little swaggy walk, like it's launched. He was like, he'd like throw his arms or something. He'd like just like so full of piss and vinegar.
And then D'Lo Brown tried to do it, and he looked corny.
All right, you're number one. Let me find the drum roll. There's so many things on my board right now. You know what? Do I have a drum roll? You need your drum roll, of course.
Gotten rid of it.
Never get rid of the drum roll.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking. The Rock says, The Rock says.
Doc, see, I don't even have the elbow pad anymore, but like that yell, if you smell with The Rock, that it was the title hold, like because he was so non-traditional. Like everybody had the belt around their waist whenever they won the championship, and he just had it either over his shoulder or he dragged it. And I was like, he's a fucking badass. Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, to me, my favorite wrestler of all time and the best entrance, because again, I know they say the word electric, but like that's how that was whenever he was entering into the stadium.
I respect The Rock as one of the greatest performers of all time, greatest wrestlers. Two Americas, Stone Cold, the best wrestler in my opinion. We're just Rock and Stone Cold guys, but honestly, that rivalry, dude, that's the golden age right there.
None better. We don't know if we have enough time to play it, but the promo cut for WrestleMania 17, where they played, I'm pretty sure it's Limp Bizkit. I just can't remember. My Way or the Highway. That's what it was. That song. It's absolutely incredible. Like why not play it on the way out, right? Like when we're wrapping up. The cut promo for that is fucking phenomenal. Like it is rivalry pursuit. Like it's the Yankees Red Sox, right? It's Lakers Celtics, but it's wrestling form, and they took it to another level with carrying the WWE / WWF, and it just made people wrestling fans for life. Even though I don't watch it, like I still have times that I'll pull up on a Monday, like I'll watch 10 minutes of it. It's because of what happened in the early 2000s and late 90s with those two.
And then I just want to throw a cute few out there as like honorable mentions that I think your list is appropriate. I just want a few that I enjoyed and I thought they were iconic to wrestling. This one for sure. just when that fire hits.
It's the
That's right.
when he does all that. That one, it is great. That's definitely a great entrance for it.
Has anyone had a better career as being a not like no charisma? Like he had nothing, no talking, nothing, and he was probably one of the top, I don't know, 30 wrestlers of all time.
He's definitely there. He also was one of the not the most in the top tier era, but never pushed era. I think he was WWF champion once. So like he was always like, fuck, it's Kane. Right? Like that guy, like you didn't want to deal with him in the Royal Rumble. You didn't want like a triple threat or like a fatal 4-way for the championship because you're like, dog, I gotta deal with this dude. But like,
Can I ask you something?
What's up?
Bro, growing up, how many times you chokeslam a motherfucker in the backyard?
So oddly enough, I didn't chokeslam as much as I F5'd people. I used to F5 people just for the fucking fun of it. Like, just like out of nowhere too. Just like, yo, can you come here for a second? And then like lift somebody up and just fucking throw them. Like I F5'd way too many people in my lifetime for not being a wrestler. Like it's just disrespectful.
Oh man, we'll talk finishers right after this. We gotta get
let's go. Let's go.
Last couple. This is just a dope song.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money.
Shane O'Mac, baby.
Yeah, for a non-wrestler, kind of pretty dope.
Yeah, Shane O was cool.
This is just because they're my boys.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on.
Deli Boys had a pretty dope entrance.
They had the fireworks from the from like the top of the roof. Yeah, it was almost like a grenade. It was actually dope.
Deli Boys dope. And then you didn't like this guy. I think this is one of the dopest entrances of all, like totality entrance wise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing this off YouTube, so hopefully this works. Oh,
didn't not be a commercial.
That's bad. Nah, it's just not playing. It was Goldberg. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm on mute. You hate him.
I never liked him.
I just liked when he just stood there, right?
And like all the shit was coming down.
Sparks and sparkles go. And it just goes. It was kind of dope.
So if you... but like low key, Batista's entrance used to be fucking badass. I don't remember his song. His entrance, Randy Orton's entrance, and Edge's entrance are all fireworks involved. And there's a really good Batista's was dope because he would do like the like almost like he was shooting a machine gun.
That's dope. That's a dope song though.
Yeah, this is something I listened to at the gym.
I always liked Batista because I think he came around kind of after the Juggernaut wrestlers kind of fizzled out, and he was the one Juggernaut
massive,
wrestler.
Bro.
He was massive, but also his persona was like you would have to kill him to win. Like he wasn't good offensively. He was like Rocky. Like, you know how if you watch Rocky movies, he gets the shit beat out of him, but he kind of just keeps fighting. Batista, you'd have to like kill that man to win.
Yeah. He was a big dude, definitely a big dude, and he had a power bomb as his finisher. Fucking Batista bomb.
Do you want to talk your favorites finisher since you were talking about power bomb?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite finisher of all time, and we can kind of go down a wormhole with like other finishers. To me, it's easily the F5. Like Brock Lesnar's F5 was just he spun motherfuckers on his head, like he did this to a lot of people, not just like small guys, like he would get the Undertaker, he'd get Kane, he'd get the Big Show, all those dudes up on his shoulder and fucking F5 them, like absolutely ridiculous, pure, muscle, just absolutely like physical beast, right? Of just let me lift you up here and I'm just throwing your ass. So like that, probably my favorite finisher of all time.
We talked about Bautista being like this juggernaut type of wrestler in that era, and I feel like Dave Bautista was the defensive one. Like he could take a beating, but he was never kind of like, I'm gonna just take down wrestler after wrestler offensively, winning matches. What's his face? Good God, I'm 2 White Claws deep, my guy. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was like the offensive version of Dave Bautista, where he would just take dudes out. And he has a really interesting career arc. He went from being a college champion, right? He won the NCAA title in wrestling to the WWF or WWE at the time, excuse me, and then was a UFC champion in the heavyweight division, and then back to WWE. It's just a weird career arc.
He also won the UFC title after like 2 matches. That was kind of weird that Dana White did that.
That fight. That was my first I don't watch UFC. I'm not like a UFC guy, but that was like one of the first and only UFC fights I watched. 'Cause I'm like, oh my god, I gotta watch Brock Lesnar, and it was the worst fight ever. He just laid on top of the guy and gave him punches to the side of the head.
Yeah, he gave him a hammer fist.
Is what we fought.
Yep. Well, his first fight was with somebody that he just beat down, and then the second one was against that guy, and then he hammer fisted him, just like punched him this way, and I was just like, this is ugly. And they're like, stop the fight, and I was like, what happened? Like, why'd you thought you just wanted him to win a championship? Because that's not really stopping.
He had no offense, but he was just so physically imposing, and also he's a phenomenal wrestler. Fast and a phenomenal wrestler. As far as taking him down, it was never going to happen. So he just got on top of a guy and just like, I'm just going to punch you inside the head for 5 minutes.
Yep. And they were like, all right, that's enough.
That's a good finisher. I'm trying to think of ones that we missed. Obviously, all right, I want to talk about like the two guys that we love, right? Probably have the 2 best as far as finishers go, showmanship finisher. And I'm thinking of the People's Elbow for showmanship, right? One of the best finishers of all time. The ripping off the armband, the waving of the arms, the turnbuckles. When you see that armband go off, it was just people would lose their fucking mind.
Oh yeah, the camera would zoom out, and you see everybody in the crowd. He tossed that shit, and like he's like, "Oh my god, let me grab it!" And then off one rope, off another. When he did the slide against Ken Shamrock because he had his suit on, and he did the glasses instead of the elbow pad, he took off the glasses, threw them. King was like, "It's the people's glasses." And like he went off one rope, jumped over, went off the other, and then he did the slide with his fucking dress shoes. I was like, that was smooth as fuck.
Hey.
And then he dropped the elbow.
Honestly, though, real quick segue. Shout out to those commentators. Was it JR and
Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler?
They made wrestling as big as it was because the way they commentated it, it was just pure fun, excitement, exuberance. They made it feel like it was a show.
They set the tone because if it were, which I think that's what separated WCW and ECW, is the commentating. Wrestling was still going to be the same. I mean, they used to set tables on fire with barbed wire in ECW, right? Like some crazy shit. But like the reason they couldn't get over is, I mean, one of the reasons they couldn't get over is just the way that it was like explained. Like everybody knows exactly, oh my God, or he just killed him. Like anything that Jerry, like business is picking up. Or like, Jerry the King Lawler saying things like puppies, like little things like that just like stick with you for the rest of your life. And it's just like, that's what made that era, is those two fed off of each other so great. Then they entered Michael Cole, who was like the third guy, could kind of do his thing. And then once the commentators started splitting up, that's when, again, like mid 2000s, late 2010 area is when everything was tough.
And then I was going to say, as far as the second finisher that's super showboaty that just got me going every time is the Stone Cold Stunner. Like when you see the nut kick, it was time, baby.
But that one wasn't really a showmanship. He got people. I'll give you that.
You know what it was? It was because I say showmanship because
people sold it.
As the character evolved, they made the Stone Cold Stunner progressively more ridiculous, where guys were just like flipping back. Like at first it was just like, a stunner. Then by the time, Stone
Rock.
The
Rock did like flips whenever he would get it.
Absurd. I loved it. It was hilarious.
So one of the best stunners, I thought it was perfectly played too. Again, I'm a big Rock guy. I know a lot of people are Stone Cold. So I was always Team Rock. And there's one that he just came back from his movie career, right? Or movie, like acting. I can't remember what movie it was, but he came back and everybody knew that he was like the entertainer. And he gave The Rock the stunner, and The Rock got up, and he gave him the, hold on a second, let me make sure that your picture's good. Are you good? And then he gave him another fucking stunner. I thought that shit was fucking gold. So like they did perfect the way that they, played off of each other.
Similar to The Rock, I thought another really fun showboaty finisher was my intro opening music. Booker T's scissor kick. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he kick them in the nuts and then bounce off the rope and then come back and give them the scissor kick, right?
Yeah. He would always do some type of slam to set him up. Then he would do the spinneroonie which was like the weird the 5-time thing, and then he'd do the spinneroonie on his head to like dance move and get up, and then he'd kick him in the stomach, bounce off the rope, give him the nice little scissor kick.
I think Booker T made a huge mistake in his career. He adopted the 5-time thing, and at that point, the writers couldn't give him another championship. It's like, well, you can't go like this. This isn't as cool with this.
6-time. Yeah, you're right. Maybe he wrote his own. Yeah, he wrote his own death on that one. I think I'm trying to think of like charismatic finishers. Obviously, there's the setup finishers. You always knew when somebody was going to do something, like when John Cena would do the 5-knuckle shuffle, that the FU or the attitude adjustment, after it became politically correct, came, like, you knew if Triple H hit you with the spine buster, you were about to get hit with the pedigree. Like Kurt Angle's German suplex, setting you up for the angle slam. So like, it's always like the secondary finisher that was like the cool one, because you're like, oh, that means the finisher's coming, and like the finisher might not even be all that hype, but like you knew it was coming because of it.
You know what one of my favorite of all times is? It's kind of lame, but hear me out why I thought it was interesting, is the Kane choke slam. And the reason why I thought it was cool is because it was a very slow choke slam. He would grab you by the neck and you would kind of like be struggling and freaking out. But the cool thing was 90% of the time he choke slammed you, but there was always a possibility when he was holding you by the neck that someone would come out from like underneath the ring, or you'd kick Kane in the nuts. There's always like a possibility that it would get reversed. Now, I thought that was kind of a neat element, because there was always a second where you're like, oh, is it going to happen? No, it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I mean there's not enough time in the day to talk wrestling all fucking day, man. Like, we could go literally for hours. When wrestlers used other people's finishers, that was when shit got real. Like, then they put it in video games where, like, I think it was the first one that I remember seeing. Not really he used this finisher, but he stopped it from happening. Remember when Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold, were at WrestleMania and Mike Tyson was the referee? He caught his super kick, and I was like, he stopped it, and he spun around and gave him the stunner after. I was like, oh my God, what just happened? Like, my mind couldn't process that somebody's finisher got blocked. And then when, like, I think it might have been, I mean, no, people definitely used it before, but like The Rock got the bookend from Booker T, and it's essentially the same move, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, he gave him his move. Is he gonna kick out of it? Like, what's gonna happen? And then, like, when Stone Cold would get the stunner from The Rock, and you're like, oh, is it as strong? Like, how's he kicking out of his own move? Well, like, again, you could go down a whole fucking wormhole with that.
Do you have any more finishers that come to mind that you want to talk about today?
I'm pretty sure I'm definitely missing out on some really cool old school ones. We talked about the Walls of Jericho.
I think we covered all this.
Yeah, I think we did. Tell you the truth, we hit a lot.
Good high flying ones. There's definitely a very good high flying one.
Frog splash from Eddie Guerrero has a frog splash, but so does Rob Van Dam. They both have different instances of it. Chris Benoit had the headbutt. I think Shawn Michaels had like the flying elbow for a time. It was weird.
Yeah. Man, this was a fun episode.
Yeah, it's weird to get out of here the way we do. GBA season's about to kick back off. I just got some practice tonight though, so normally this won't happen. Normally we won't be running tight on time for Mondays.
We didn't get to talk our favorite titles either, or favorite matches. I forgot. Oh, I didn't get to talk about Stone Cold in Grocery Store.
I got the video here too, and we didn't even play it. We're gonna have to table this for another day.
Ladder it.
Stop it.
Hey, thank you for listening to the podcast. Remember, if you're watching live, check out the podcast on Save That D's. Check out the podcast on Spotify and Apple. He's giving you guys the suck it right now if you're just listening. And if you're just listening on the podcast, we're live, YouTube, Twitch at @D_Frizzy_Frizz5. Or check out, we got a website, frizzthegrizz.com, with all the stuff's there. D, there's only one way to get out of here today.
Take it easy, y'all.
Think you could tell me what to do?